It's like one man influenced you so much that every film of his you used to stand in a queue outside the theaters. You saw the hysteria, you saw the madness, you you have been through the black market years, and all that is gone now. So that was magic of cinema that I've experienced, and then whatever I've experienced, I want to write and I want to give to the next generation. It has taken me almost 14 years to write this book, and it's a journey about three generations of Bachchans involving five celebrities. So essentially, it is a career chronicle of five celebrities in a single book. So, and it is the first book on the Bachchan family. So it was difficult, and I extremely, I'm I'm fortunate that the family supported me, and Mr. Bachchan made it to be the first book which was released inside his compound. The current generation is too stuck on current Bollywood and what is trending on Instagram to bother about what was the past. So that awareness needs to be there. That awareness can only be generated by the top stars of the industry. That we have a past as well. Please look at that, because if it's not just cinema. Any country which forgets its heritage is doomed. Because heritage is everything. That is what we are eventually, because that's where we are coming from.
Hi, welcome to the Mohua Show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur, and ex housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in today's episode, we have with us SMM Ausaja, a prominent film historian and memorabilia archivist who began his career in cinema writing in 1989 for Lucknow City magazine. He later transitioned to TV software production at Plus Channel in Mumbai under Amit Khanna and Mahesh Bhatt. His extensive archive of Indian cinema memorabilia is considered the largest in the country, focusing on rare pre-90s hand-designed posters. Wow! Wow, wow, wow. His debut book, Bollywood in OK Posters 2009, was a bestseller with a foreword by Amitabh Bachchan, who also launched it at IIFA Macau. He's known for charity auctions, including one at Southeast for Tata Medical Center. His exhibitions, including those on Amitabh Bachchan and milestones in Bengali cinema, have received widespread acclaim. Osaja's second book, Bollywood, The Films, The Songs, The Stars, 2017, co-authored with eminent writers, was also again released by Amitabh Bachchan. He currently serves as Senior Vice President at TRIS, Tuli Research Center for India Studies. Okay, hold your guns. He's also got a third book, The Bachchans. It's a commissioned coffee table book chronicling five generations of celebrities. Welcome, Ausaja. In today's episode, I have to take a breath before I finish with the entire introduction. How do you manage all of this?
You need passion and you need focus in life for things that you love, and then everything falls in place.
You have an incredible collection of Bollywood memorabilia and have written extensively about it. What sparked your passion, for collecting and preserving cinema history?
Uh, I started off as a fan of Amitabh Bachchan because I grew up in his era, and so in school I used to collect postcards, and then started collecting posters, and whatever I got in towns like Lucknow and Kanpur. But my collection expanded only when I moved to Mumbai, and then I had more vistas, and I also matured, and I realized that not just Bachchan, I should collect all the important films and stars and old stuff that I'm getting. Maybe I won't get it later.
Yeah, so let's just talk about your early days, in Nepal to your current role at Ocean.
See, I after I did my MBA, I briefly worked in Nepal, but then my heart was elsewhere. I was marketing plywood in a factory in Nepal, so you can imagine my level of interest in that job. But I was doing it, because that's the first job I got. But eventually, when I moved to Mumbai and I started working in the entertainment industry, that's where my moorings were. And that's where I expanded. And I did a lot of TV software production, but eventually one has to turn a producer, which I didn't want to. So my focus was elsewhere. It was always in archiving and documenting cinema history. So that's how I started. You know, I joined Osians because they were doing at that point of time a lot of good work on archiving and documenting cinema, and they were the only auction house on cinema. So I joined, and for over the years I've been with them, and now it has transformed into truly research center where we are not just doing auctions, we are doing research work on cinema, on India studies, on various aspects of India over the years, and it is going to be the largest archive as well as as well as the go-to place for India studies.
And do they have courses that they offer?
Yeah, there will be courses and there will be tie-ups with various educational institutions on various fronts. So it's just taking off now.
Wonderful, wonderful. I also have a huge love for cinema. So, we are both on the same page. But let me ask you a little bit about your childhood memory or a film experience that has deeply influenced your love for cinema. For me, my father did not allow me to watch Hindi films when I was a child. And it was only, Ten Commandments and Kovadis and all these films that he used to take me for. And then over time, I still remember the first film I lied at home and went with my cousin to watch, which was an Mithun Chakrabarti film, and I was so scared that I would get caught. And that was my first exposure to a Hindi film. And then, of course, Hindi film has evolved, and I learned to have my own language. And my father then introduced me to films. So, what about you? Tell me, Osaja, what's been your journey?
See, uh, my journey has been similar to an entire generation. We were hooked on Amitabh Bachchan from uh, across 70s and 80s and 90s. So it's like one man influenced you so much that every film of his you used to stand in a queue outside the theaters. You saw the hysteria, you saw the madness, you have been through the black market years, and all that is gone now. So that was magic of cinema that I've experienced, and then whatever I've experienced I want to write and I want to give to the next generation. That's the idea.
So, your book, Bollywood, in posters and Bollywood, the films, the songs, the stars have received widespread acclaim. Could you share with us the inspiration behind these projects and what do they mean to you personally?
See, as an archivist and collector, I collected a lot of posters and stuff, but I was wondering what to do with it now. So there were two options. One, I do an exhibition. For that, I needed a sponsor. And when I approached sponsors, they're asking me questions like, will Akshay Kumar open the exhibition? So their focus was Akshay Kumar, not on the content that I'm going to display. So that is the way that the corporates work, most of them. So
That must be
that didn't
very
work.
difficult, isn't it,
Yeah, it is
Osaja?
disappointing more than difficult, because if you are a corporate and you have a CSR and this is what you're looking at, then it's all it shows your vision. Cinema is today widely accepted as part of a country's culture,
Yes.
and you can't even support a small initiative on that, and you still want an Akshay Kumar to open it because you want your footfalls and your eyeballs. Then it's all materialism eventually. So then then I moved on to the book, because at least the book will go beyond the city. It will go worldwide. So that's when I approached Om Books International, and I'm happy that they accepted the offer, and that's how the book was made. And once the dummy was made, I was fortunate enough to meet Mr. Bachchan and show him the dummy, and it was he who initiated it for the IFA launch. That's
Tell
how
us
the
a
first
little
book was
bit
made.
about your book, The Bachchans, the Saga of Excellence. How did you approach documenting the remarkable history of the Bachchan family over 100 years? And this is like, there isn't a single Indian, I think, who wouldn't know or talk about Amitabh Bachchan being the superstar. And it
Yeah,
must have been overwhelming,
yeah.
Osaja. So tell us a little
It
bit
has
about
taken
that.
me it has taken me almost 14 years to write this book, and it's a journey about three generations of Bachchans involving five celebrities. So essentially, it is a career chronicle of five celebrities in a single book. So, and it is the first book on the Bachchan family. So it was difficult, and I extremely I'm I'm fortunate that the family supported me, and Mr. Bachchan made it to be the first book which was released inside his compound. And yeah, so uh, I'm very happy with it because whatever best I could do to chronicle the events and the journey and the craft of these people, I've done. Now it is up to the people to accept it in whatever way they want. But I'm getting very, very good response across board. Whoever has seen the book has praised it, and people have written extensively about it, and that I think is very important for an author.
So let's talk about Harivansh Rai Bachchan's literary accomplishments, which is legendary. So how do you research and capture his life and times? And could you share any lesser known anecdotes, related to his iconic work, which everybody knows about Madhushala? And I'd really like to hear that from you.
See, the lot of things. The first step was, uh, and it's the most difficult part of the book for the research aspect.
Why do you say
So
that?
because most of the things are known on Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bachchan and Abhishek and Aishwarya, but very little is known on Dr. Bachchan except on whatever stray thing that have come out. So it's a complex journey, and he started off. It's a humble middle class family from Pratapgarh. They are not from Allahabad. Another myth that I have busted. Then there has been a very, very robust support that Dr. Bachchan's craft was given uh, from Pandit Nehru. It is literally, he was nurtured by Pandit Nehru as a poet, which is what has helped him grow in stature in the country. And
Oh, that's wonderful. I don't think anyone knows about
yeah,
this.
and he started off as an Urdu poet. Then he switched to Hindi. So his Urdu was equally good. And when I spoke to Mr. Bachchan about him, and I told him that the only way I can get authentic knowledge on your father is through his uh, autobiography. It's a four-part voluminous autobiography that he's written. Those four parts were actually condensed into a single English book by an author called Rupert Snell. So I asked Amit ji, should I read Snell or should I read your father's work? He said, don't touch Snell. Read my father's work in Hindi. I don't know the reason why he said it, but he said it. So I read his four-part biography and I think autobiography, and that has given me so much of information on his past. And I'm surprised that people don't read it because it's a very, very honest autobiography. And that's where I got most of the event.
So, were there any surprising discoveries or behind the scenes stories about Amitabh Bachchan that you would like to share? Because I'm sure most of us would want to know. What is it that
So
you
many.
discovered while you were doing the entire research work?
There's so many stories. Like as a fan, he met Raj Kapoor during his uh, college days in Delhi. And there's a photo of him as a fan with Raj Kapoor in my book.
Oh, wonderful.
And later on, of course, the two families got together because Shweta got married in his family. And then another myth I've busted is that a lot of people think that uh, his first release in Bombay was Saath Hindustani, which is not true. Saath Hindustani was completed in 1969 and it was premiered in 1969, but it had no takers from the distributors. So the first Amitabh Bachchan film that was released in Bombay was Anand. It's not Saath Hindustani. And that is the reason why, if you see, whenever somebody asks Amit ji, which is the first autograph you signed, he always says that after the uh, screening of Anand, when I was driving to a petrol pump, then I signed the autograph because somebody has seen the movie and he came up to me.
That's an
So it
iconic
is
film.
Anand.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
iconic film. The music, everything, it stays, it's immortal even till date. So, Aishwarya Rai and Agastya Nanda also feature in your book. What unique perspectives do you think they add to the stories?
See, Aishwarya Rai's life is an open book in terms of her career. So that was easy because people know she became Miss India when Miss World Miss when you know uh, there was internet. So at least her life journey, her craft has been widely documented. So that was not a difficult task for me. And Agastya, of course, is taking off. So I've just ended the book with on him that he's taking off. But the most difficult part is the early life of Mr. Bachchan, the formative years, and his father's journey. That was most difficult for me.
You've mentioned in previous interviews your admiration for the artists who create these posters. Film posters, of course, have gone through so much of change also. And, I'm a huge fan of Satyajit Ray's posters. I have them all in my house, like artwork. And I love posters of Hindi films. And, of course, Ray is my favorite. So tell me a little bit on why you think preserving this art is so important to you as a person.
See, it's very dear to me because I grew up looking at these artworks on the streets. So that's one reason, personal reason. And second reason is that it is an art that is dead now. Every poster was hand designed, you know, and there were some uh, legendary poster designers like Pandit Kumar Sharma, like Divakar Karkare, like D.R. Bhosle, who have done some phenomenal work across decades. Of course, all started with Babura Painter and then with uh, S.M. Pandit. But over the years, from 30s till 90s, there have been such great posters of Indian cinema. And unfortunately, they've not been preserved because the National Film Archive was formed in mid 60s. So you can imagine from 1913 to 1960s, as it is, most of the things were lost.
How sad.
It's only from late 60s onward that we still have some semblance of archiving and documentation through the National Film Archive. And but of course, I will also give credit to the collectors because individual collectors who have personally collected posters and memorabilia are the people who should be rewarded and applauded because they are the ones who have actually preserved Indian cinema heritage in some way.
So, moving beyond the artistic aspect, you've also been involved in auctions, exhibitions, and film festivals. How do these, events really contribute to the preserving, of film heritage?
See, when I joined Osians, I joined because I thought that that's the right place for me because I document cinema and I'm a collector and that's the only entity that used to do cinema auction. And cinema auctions are important because they tell people the value of these posters. Ever since cinema auctions started happening, the posters which were thrown to the Raddiwala are not being thrown there. The producers are holding back on it. There are people who are picking them up and they are preserving it. So all that has started because there's a value to it now. Otherwise, once the film is released and if it's a flop film, the whole bundle was used to be given to the Raddiwala. So that has something that has changed. So yeah, auctions are important because they give you awareness of the value of film heritage.
So, you've also had the privilege of working and befriending many icons of Indian cinema. Which relationship has stayed the most with you that, you would like to talk a little bit about?
No, no. See, I've met. I'm not saying I'm a friend of so and so, but I've met a lot of people, and Rishi Kapoor is one of them. I've had some very fond memories of him. Of course, Mr. Bachchan is there. Jaya Bachchan ji is there. So these are the people who know my work and who appreciate it. Like Mr. Javed Akhtar, like Shabana Azmi. You know, there's among uh, the later ones. Ritesh Deshmukh knows me and he knows my work. Farah Khan knows me and they know my work. Raj Babbar knows me and my work. So it's good when people appreciate within the film fraternity because I am not. I don't meet them as fan. You know, I meet them as a member of the fraternity because I'm also doing something that is in the interest of the fraternity. I may not be directly involved in filmmaking. A small contribution is mine because there's an element of preserving what is being made.
Absolutely, absolutely. Given your vast knowledge of Bollywood, there are lesser known personalities or films that you believe deserve more recognition. Would you be able to name a few films that you think could have, gotten better recognition than what it received?
There are so many people. There are so many people who deserve recognition. P.L. Raj, for instance, the choreographer of legendary, level. The kind of work he has done across decades is incredible. But nobody acknowledges him. Ashok Kumar, an actor who was a superstar and who lasted, 7, 8 decades, and nobody talks about him. In the West, there's even for a Charlie Chaplin, there's a museum. But today's generation doesn't even know Ashok Kumar. He was the biggest star of 30s and 40s. So there's so many. They're great. There's some phenomenal actors like Om Prakash ji, Ajit Saab. But people, there's no documentation of this. We don't even, commemorate their anniversaries. So I'm talking about these big names. There are so many other small names. Like there are some very good cinematographers, editors, you know, great technicians, some great directors who have been forgotten. So there are so many names that I can rattle out. But then all that, see, all this can happen only when the film fraternity wakes up and does something for the uh, preservation of cinema heritage. There are stray things that are happening, but I still feel that there's a lot that can still be done within the film fraternity, because the only way cinema heritage can be preserved is with the support.
Do you think that there is a change that's coming?
Yeah, there is a change coming, but I don't know how robust it is. I still need to see whether the film industry is genuinely galvanized to support. In the past, they've not done it, so I'm very skeptical. But I'm praying that I hope this time the movement takes off, and whether it is TRIS, whether it is Film Heritage Foundation, whether it is the government-run institutions, but eventually the film fraternity needs to come out in support, you know, for the cause of cinema heritage.
So, you have been very vocal about the challenges, preserving film history in India, and obviously to an audience that isn't yet totally bought into this entire concept. So, what have been the kind of obstacles or challenges that you have faced, and how did you overcome them? Did you overcome?
The whole idea of preserving cinema heritage is not a commercial idea. Please understand. Therefore, this aspect cannot be taken up by an individual as a profession. That is the biggest obstacle, because even if people want to become archivists or they learn preservation, how are they going to support themselves? Even if they start doing all this, there are hardly any entities who are doing this. Where will they get jobs? So that is a there needs to be more entities like the Film Heritage Foundation, like National Film Archive, where preservation work is done professionally. So I think that is one. Second thing is the awareness. There's no awareness. The current generation is too stuck on current Bollywood and what is trending on Instagram to bother about what was the past. So that awareness needs to be there. That awareness can only be generated by the top stars of the industry. That we have a past as well. Please look at that, because if it's not just cinema. Any country which forgets its heritage is doomed. Because heritage is everything. That is what we are eventually, because that's where we are coming from.
Your journey, from Kanpur to Mumbai has been quite eventful. So, what advice would you give to aspiring historians or archivists wanting to follow your footsteps?
Nobody needs to follow my footsteps, because it's not easy to uh, tread this path. But follow your heart. If you love cinema, do something about it. Give it back. If you've enjoyed cinema over the years, over your growing up years, give it something back. How will you do that? You can only do that by preserving your precious memories. That's what I did, at least.
That's what I also do. And I
You should.
go on to Instagram and I keep writing a lot about the new films that are coming up, the shorts, and of course, on Ray. Tell me a little bit about your association with Bengali cinema.
Oh, see, I when I became a collector, I moved my horizons beyond Hindi cinema. So I collected a lot of stuff on Bengali cinema, because I love Ray's work. I love Suchitra. She's one of my favorite actresses. And I love Bengali culture, especially art. So when I started collecting Bengali stuff, of course I couldn't read Bengali, so I used to befriend a Bengali and ask him to tell me which film it is, and I used to write in English on the booklet or on the poster. So that's how I started collecting. But when I got the opportunity to do the 100 years of Bengali cinema exhibition, I could manage it because there was so much of material. And of course, I read about Bengali cinema, and I figured out what is important, what is not. And when I put up the entire show at Metcalfe Hall in Calcutta, you will not believe there were so many Bengalis coming to me, and they used to start conversing in Bengali. and I used to be blank. It was hilarious. They couldn't believe that a man who doesn't know Bengali has put this up.
So when you look back at those 100 years of Bengali cinema, which director? I mean, for me, I'm a huge Ray fan, and of course Mrinal Sen, and there's Gautam Ghosh, and there's Rituparna Ghosh, and there are many other film directors whose films I can go back constantly and see and find a new layer to the whole film. Let's just talk a little bit about Ray. That happens to be my favorite. Let's just say that my upbringing has been with a lot of Satyajit Ray films that we've watched and we've had conversations at home as a family. Which one would you consider your favorite in Ray's, repertoire of films?
Without a doubt, Charulata. And when I was in my growing up years, I used to wonder why are Ray's films so slow. So I met a Ray fan later on in life. He was an old man, and I asked this question. He says, "No, if there are pauses, there's music. He wants you to listen to the music," and that's how I started watching Ray film. So see, great man. Ray, of course, is above everybody else. But having said that, there are others as well. You can't dismiss Tapan Sinha. You can't dismiss
Yes, Tapan Sinha,
Ritvik Ghatak.
Ghatak, yeah.
You can't dismiss so many. There are so many greats. Even Devki Bose. Nitin Bose. There's so many fantastic directors, and of course later on there is Aparna Sen, one of my favorites.
Yes, absolutely. I love Aparna Sen's films. I
Yeah,
forgot to mention. And what I remember is it's called 36 Chaurangi Lane with
yeah.
Jennifer Kendall. And, I've been trying to search for that film constantly because I want to go back, to the loneliness of, and I can't find it.
You must watch Picnic.
I've watched Picnic, but I need to watch it again.
You watch it, it'll blow your mind. It's a fantastic film.
Also Poroma of Aparna
Yeah,
Sen's, I think it was way
yeah, yeah.
beyond her time that she made a film like that. And it, even today when I watch her films, there are layers and layers and layers, and that you keep discovering about gender, about relationships. And yes, so you're also talking to a big fan of cinema, and it's so amazing, Osaja. So let's just talk a little bit before I end this conversation, because I'm not being able to end this conversation with you. Let's talk a little bit about Pothir Pachali. What is that one scene that you remember? Because I watched Pothir Pachali some 100 times till now, and every time I watch, there is a new aspect to the film that I find. So if you could just share a few, for our listeners and for our viewers, what remains the most poignant
My
part of the
favorite, my favorite iconic scene is Apu in the ground with the train passing. Such beautifully shot moment.
Absolutely. And you know what? Durga could not join because she fell down.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of posters that actually show the both of them standing and watching the train, but Durga could not see that train pass
yeah.
by, and it was only Opu. And how the train is very cyclic in that entire film.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yes, and thank you so much for being on today's podcast. And it's wonderful, and wish you lots and lots of luck. And I hope I get to meet you in person. You're talking to another person who's completely obsessed with cinema. And
Are you Mumbai based?
no, I'm in Bangalore.
Oh, so whenever you come here, we can meet. No
Yes, for
issue.
sure, 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are The Mohua Show, where we talk imandari se.